Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
What if you laughed all through your commute? Or if you heard the funniest story while at the gym? Well, now you can. I'm Jamila Jamil, and guests on my new podcast, Wrong Turns, share their most mortifying and hilarious disaster stories. I'm talking people like Mae Martin, Bob the Drag Queen, Katherine Ryan, Jake Johnson, Margaret Cho, Simon Pegg, Penn Badgley, and so many more. So listen wherever you get your podcast, Wrong Turns, where dignity goes to die.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.
Guided by a shared purpose and a spirit of collaboration, Emory University students push each other to think creatively and work cooperatively, knowing that different perspectives lead to new ideas.
What makes Emory special is that it has very rigorous academics, but a community that is willing to support each other. People are always willing to study together and work hard together.
Learn more at emory.edu.
Sewing Club podcast is coming at you today from Turrbal and Yagara country. We pay our respects to their elders past and present.
Hello, welcome to the Sewing Club podcast. I'm Kylie from Kylie and the Machine.
And I'm Gemma from Sewing Gem. Welcome.
Today is our Sojo episode, or what I'm going to call the So No episode. It's Sojo, So No.
So no, and that's the beauty of it. Okay,
Yin and yang.
This is why we do this episode, because sometimes we've been, really busy in the businesses. Sometimes we've been sewing lots. Sometimes we want to chat about what's going on in the sewing world, and it just gives us that flexibility, that free reign. So that's what this is about. So
yeah, it's just a lot to do, the interviews and the sewing the same pattern every month.
Yep.
And this just means that we're more excited for those Sewing Club reviews, and then we get to explore whatever we want.
Yeah,
and if we don't have time, then yeah.
And we've been quite organised this year. I think we've got everything kind of teed up, which is nice.
Do.
So we've got lots of exciting things to bring you in the coming year.
What have you been up to at Sewing Gem?
Well, I have been really getting into my stride, I guess, with the sewing lessons. So Sewing Gem is the retail side of the business, is still plodding on and going well. And I've been running more and more sewing lessons. So started at the end of last year with what I called our first stitches class, which was like for complete beginners. You've never threaded a machine, and that's going really well. In fact, it's really popular.
How quickly do they catch on? Is it really
quick? Actually, yeah. And some people are just amazingly quick. And I've had quite a few guys coming through, which has been so awesome to see. A few engineers, and oh my gosh, they just want to get their heads around the machine and they pick it up so quick.
Typical engineers.
It is great to see. It's been really fun doing that. And I want to keep doing the classes and being able to offer more. We talk about all the different pools and everything in our businesses. So I'm adding to the classes, I guess, slowly. But there's more to come. So this year I've been running what we call our beginner blocks, which is, you've done your first stitches or you're familiar with using a sewing machine and you know the basics, and now you want to learn how to make garments or a mule tote, for example. So you sign up for the beginner basics, and it runs over 3 weeks at the same time each week for 3 hours. And in that class, you can pick a pattern, and everybody will be potentially making a different pattern. So there might be a simple dress, there might be some pants, there's a bag, there's some kids' clothes, it's whatever really you want to make.
That's so cool.
But within the class, there's only ever 5 people. But if you've got 5 people all making something slightly different, it can be busy, but it's good. It keeps me going, and it's fun. I like the fact that people are able to make what they really want to make, and that has encouraged me to, I guess, make some of these garments as well that we're offering in the beginner basics. It's good for people to be able to see what it looks like, what the end goal is. So I've been doing a little bit of sewing, which I'll talk about in a moment. But all the patterns are designed to have beginner skills in. So they're things like, waistbands, gathering, darts, the basic sewing skills. And people can either continue on the beginner block and make another pattern,
Yep.
Or the long-term goal, which I'm working on at the moment, is there will be an intermediate block that you would then move on to. And the patterns in that intermediate block will include things like, zippers and maybe a buttoned shirt and more advanced techniques, or intermediate techniques, I should say. And then long-term will be to move into an advanced block as well. So watch this space.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And how do you find teaching sewing is different from teaching school that you're, trained in?
So different. And it is very different teaching adults as well to teaching kids, because I do a teen stitch club as well, which is fun, but they're so different, so different. I mean, everyone's different, I guess, in how we learn and how we approach things. But yeah, I definitely see in the adults this perfectionist side that seems to come, and I think that often does come with maturity, that desire to want to make something absolutely perfect, which I think does get in the way a little bit sometimes for people. And I always joke, in the first lesson of first stitches, I could say, I'm already starting to see who my perfectionists are, you know.
How do you mitigate that? How do you help them to accept that it may it's
okay, to not be perfect. I just, if I can see someone that's perhaps not keeping up with the pace because they're getting bogged down in millimeters of details, I think it's good to be a perfectionist to an extent. But if it's becoming a problem and they're not able to move on, then I'll say, look, that's great how it is. Let's just, I just encourage them to, or I'll talk them through ways to make it look perfect later. We can just match this up here, or so there's ways around it.
Yeah, because you want them to be able to be at home and replicate what's happening in the classroom, and they're not going to have a you to encourage them. So it's like they really need to get because there's a lot of speed bumps, right?
Yeah.
You can get caught up in something and then it goes too hard basket, right?
Yep.
And then it's like that's where I think people give up, and it's like you helping them through those moments is really important.
And also I have a phrase that I use over and over again, and I think it's really important for all of us, and I think we've mentioned it on the podcast as well, because you can see some people get a little bit frustrated with themselves when things aren't going right. And I just kind of say, look, everyone, we have to remember it's only sewing, it is only sewing. We're doing this to enjoy it. Yeah. And I always start with a bit of an intro, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we're not doing this because we're probably going to save money, and we're definitely not going to save time. So we're here to enjoy the process, and I think that's an important message, We've all got projects that are in the naughty corner and they're probably not going to come out. So, I don't want people to feel bad. It's normal. That's part of the process of learning to sew.
I think that people can't get over that it's not that hard as well. Like people, I could never do that. I could never do that. What you do? It's like, well, I've been practicing for thousands of hours, but you can probably do really abstract stuff that's more modern, whereas this is it's right in front of you. It's tactile. It's literally, you're looking at the thing that you're doing. You can see everything. It's more grounding than a lot of the stuff that we know today as being normal. So don't be afraid. I mean, you're probably not listening to this if you aren't sewing. Yeah, but
maybe they're
just
thinking
in
about
case
it. Yeah.
this has happened to come on your podcast in your car and you don't know what we're doing, you should start sewing now.
Yeah, start sewing. Yeah. I love it though. I had a lady that came back. She did the first stitches and then she came back and did the beginner basics, and we make a bag on the first stitches, very simple tote bag. And she came back and she'd unpicked her son's pants and made it into a bag, and it was like Tommy Hilfiger, and it was, and she'd made 4 of them, and she was by the 4th, it was absolute perfection. Everything was lined up, and I said, "This is awesome. This is how you learn. It is so much of it is practice, and just redoing it. Sometimes when you're in a sewing class, you can feel like you're in the middle of what's even going on? What did I just do? And I've ended up with this thing, and I'm not quite sure how. But go home and do it on your own, like you say. It's part of the process of learning. So it's really awesome to see.
Yeah, I've only taught a couple of classes, and I got to say, it's not for me.
No.
I just think you're very good at explaining things, and I think people think that I would be a good teacher because I know a lot of stuff, but I'm not actually good at showing or explaining that as well. So
it's in there.
Yeah, it's all in my head. Yeah,
I think it probably does just come back to I'm a talker, and was a teacher, so really enjoy sharing that knowledge. So hopefully I'm good at what I do.
I'm sure you are. I'd love to. If I didn't know how to sew, I'd like to learn from you.
Okay, awesome. But no, I'm really enjoying it. It's really lovely seeing, like I say, that lady come back with her bags and someone that's, got so much from beginning to learn to sew. Yeah. They're getting the same enjoyment from it that I guess I get. And that's really, really nice to see. I guess sharing the sewing love. It's awesome.
You're just giving them like the few tools and the few, techniques to start with. And then you can see it kind of just their mind expanding and they're able to apply those things to their own projects and grow in their own way. So it's like you're just kind of like nudging the little start part.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. And I guess I have been sort of thinking, I should probably make sure I know how to sew all of these patterns and how they kind of come together. And it's good being able to show people on the course what the patterns look like when they're sewn. So the one that I've sewn recently is actually the Megan Nilsson Flint pants. Yep. I made a white linen version. They're good for the beginner block course because they don't really have a zip fly or fastening. It's literally just a button. I actually made there's a couple of different versions. You've got the button version or there's a tie.
Oh, yes.
And there's shorts or longer pants or like 3/4 lengths.
Yeah.
I actually made mine longer though because I didn't want them to be 3/4 lengths. Right. I prefer full length. Mm-hmm. So they're about 5 centimetres longer on me. And made the tie, made the long version in a white linen. And they're kind of quite a straightforward pant. They're good because, you can practice waistbands and you've got the tie. But there isn't that sort of can be quite tricky zipper when you're first starting out. And that was one of the reasons why I chose it. But I like the fact that it's not actually an elasticated waist.
Yeah.
It still looks fairly, I guess it's got a bit of a smarter finish to it, a more sort of tailored look. Yeah. Have you made them?
Yeah, I made them a long time ago, and I don't think I even have them anymore, but I made them in like a denim, dark wash denim.
Long or short?
Like long.
Yeah.
And with the wide hem, and they were very wide. You know what I mean? Because it had that structure. And I kind of wore them. I don't know. It was a look that I was going for at the time, and I don't really wear that style anymore. I don't know what happened to them.
Well, I'm not a 3/4 length leg girl. I don't mind it, I guess, with some things, but I have made a few other patterns, like clot type pattern things, and I just don't wear them because I just don't like that. I just don't like being, I think, cut off here. I think that's when I'm pointing to my calf. If you guys obviously can't see this, I don't like that finish there.
Yeah.
But I love it on other people, and I think it looks great. But it's personal preference, and that's the beauty of being able to say your own things. I'm like, I know I'm not going to like that length. I'm going to add 5 centimeters to these pants, and there you go.
So do they go all the way to the floor?
Yeah, they just touch. They'll be good for like wearing flat shoes, basically.
So they're I'm looking at them. They're white linen, and they're so very different from the Flint pant that I made, which was very structured, and the pleats were very like there.
Yep.
Whereas yours is linen and it's floppy. It's got like Byron Noosa vibes. Like
I'm thinking holiday vibes. Yeah. And the nice thing about the pattern, as is the case with so many sewing patterns, is you can make it in a denim and it's a really structured pant or a twill or whatever. But then you can also make it in a really floaty fabric, and you've got these really nice pair of floaty pants. So it's it's very open for your own personal style. Again, one of the reasons we sew.
And they have pockets.
They do have pockets, and that's actually where the opening is on the side in one of the pockets.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a bit different. Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine if your students came and like everything they were going to make, you had like I know this is not it's not realistic, but imagine having to you get to look at something when it's already made on a rack and decide, I'd like to make that next in the next sewing lesson. And then people can even, somewhat like try them on, hold them up. It's like having your toile already made for you a bit.
Yes, exactly. So if there's someone in that rough size range vicinity, they can just put them on and go. I of course did have to modify mine because I always have to modify a little bit. And it was the stand. What's nice about them actually is they're wide legs. So when it comes to pants, again, they're good beginner patterns because they're easy to fit. But I had to flatten out the hip curve, which is not unusual. It's a standard alteration for me.
How high is the rise on you? I found that really high on me.
It's actually okay. The rise was pretty spot on for me. Yep. But the hip curve was too pronounced. But every hip curve is too pronounced on me because I don't really have hips where they're supposed to be. So
You don't have side hips, you have bum.
I have, bum and thigh.
But like some people have some people have like the volume on the sides, and some people have the volume at the front, and some people have the volume at the back.
Yeah.
And that's why one single hip measurement means so many different things.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a bum and thigh girl. So it's got to lose that top hip. It's not going to work.
I think it's a lot easier for pattern makers to leave the curve in there for us that want to shave that curve off than it is for people to add the curve later.
Absolutely.
Because, we could make the whole thing easier. And then just pin it and then,
And I just long stitched the pants together because I knew there'd probably be some kind of tweak I'd want to make, put them on, check them out. Okay, going to tweak it here. Job done. So it was very easy.
So are these going to be ones that you actually wear, or are you just going to have them in the studio?
A bit of both. I'll see how many people I've actually got quite a few people wanting to make these. So for a while they'll probably just kick around the studio, but the long-term plan will be, I will take them on my next trip if I'm going somewhere appropriate because they feel kind of holiday vibes, I think.
I just want to shout out to Melbourne people and people that have ever visited the now closed Fibersmith shop. That was, I can't remember the actual suburb because I'm not a Melbourne person, but they had a rack in their shop of all these kind of like popular patterns by indie pattern makers, and they'd make them up in like different versions of their fabrics that they'd sell. So it was kind of like showing off the fabrics, showing off the patterns. But for me as a person, you could like shop the rack.
Oh, wow.
You could like try the thing. Like,
you could try it on.
Yeah, you could like they had.
They weren't for sale though.
No, they were just there to show what you could make.
Showcase.
Yeah, and because they sold the patterns and the fabric, so it was like they would just make. They had a sewing machine. Someone made the pattern. Yeah, cool. It was really cool. And yeah, I remember going there and thinking, this is so good because you get to try it on because this is a pattern I was eyeing off, and now I know I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
Right. So,
and you got an idea of sizing as well.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, imagine if there was a shop where there was all the different patterns made up and you could just go and try them on
cool.
and, save yourself a little bit of time knowing what the base pattern was going to be.
Yeah, that's a very
But that would involve lots of people sewing and not making any alterations at all.
At all, yeah.
And sewing it in every size.
Or a little tag on everything saying, this garment has been altered in this way. And then you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And now we're looking at like, fashion industry wastage and all this sort of stuff. It's like, no, let's just look at people online and see what they're making and look at people that have similar bodies to us and then make decisions.
But it's so hard to tell that, isn't it? Again, like you're talking about distribution in one measurement, hip, bust, it's all the same. It's like
where is the volume?
Where is the volume? Where is that distributed around you? And it's different for everybody. So that is what makes it tricky, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the patterns that you have been making with the people, they're not difficult-ish.
No, and the fit is quite key because I feel like learning how to alter patterns is another skill, and people will learn that as they go, but probably more in the as we go into the intermediate and the advanced. Obviously, the really obvious alterations we might need to make if they're short and it's going to be way too long on them, then we're not going to make a great big dress and it should be a top.
Yeah.
But we're not going to get into those really more advanced pattern alterations, and so therefore I've tried to pick patterns that shouldn't need too much tweaking. They're fairly oversized, a bit like I'm wearing today the Ashton top. So the Ashton top is actually one of them. The Stevie from Tilly and the Buttons is one. We've got Free Spirit skirt, which is an elasticated waist skirt by Pattern Emporium, but just easy fitting garments so that people can focus on the sewing skills.
Yeah.
I always think that there's kind of like three main things in any sewing project, right? You've got the sewing skill, you've got the fabric choice, which can make and break a project, and you've got the fit of the thing, like how well does it fit?
Yeah.
And I feel like you need to remove some of those aspects when you're first starting, or make it as straightforward as possible.
Yep.
And then you can build in those other skills as you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So do they bring their own fabric? Or?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
But I will try and give them a bit of guidance on what to bring and make sure that they've got the pattern information in terms of, what fabric will work. And if anyone is stuck, they can always email me and say, what do you advise? Or pop in and see me at the studio beforehand. So
do they cut everything out there with you as well?
Yeah, they usually do, because I want to make sure, particularly at the beginning, I think once people know what their sizing is and, or how to take their measurements, but I think that's quite an important part of learning to read a pattern, because as we know, the sizes don't always line up with ready to wear. And I think people walk in when they haven't sewn before and they think that if they cut, I wear a size 8 in this shop, so if I cut a size 8, I'm going to be fine. But it doesn't always work out like that. So I think that's quite an important learning curve.
Sure. Yeah, people shouldn't even look like those things are just there to signify that it's smaller or larger than the other size.
Yes.
It's like really you shouldn't even take note of those numbers. Always look at the measurements.
And particularly when you're working with the big four, which I know a lot of people do, you know, they're not as popular perhaps as they were in the past. But, you know, I would wear probably a 10 in a ready to wear, but I would make probably like a 14 in a, you know, which I think can be quite confronting for some people because, well, that's not my size. But
that's not my number.
That's not my number, but you've just got to forget about that and just go with the measurements. Yeah. And also I think teaching the difference between measurements that are given on the packet, which are suggesting the size you should make, versus the finished measurements of the garment, also versus, you know, there's a certain amount of wearable ease that's been put into this pattern to make this pattern wearable, but there's also designer ease, you know, what's the look of the pattern. So there's lots of things to think about when you're choosing your size that if you've not sewn before, you kind of want to work through all of those things.
And there's not a set rule. Like if you had pants and you wanted, and it was like just a really basic like jogger style pant, right? You could make that in corduroy, you could make it in rayon. And sometimes you'd think that the corduroy would have to be bigger and the rayon would be smaller, but it would be better to size up the rayon because it drapes.
Yes.
And it's better to fit the thicker fabric a little bit more because then otherwise you're going to carry it around. Yeah. But then when you're talking about another garment, you might cut the rayon smaller and the other, like it's not the same. There's no set rule for any of this. It's all about like individual garment, fabric, choice, size, personal preference. All of it comes into it.
Yeah, the sewing, the fit, the fabric, they're all aspects that could potentially go wrong. And we've all been there when one of those aspects are just not right and then it kind of throws it off. Yeah. And, you know,
when you're halfway through something and you're just like, this is the wrong fabric for this, but you just got to keep going.
You go into the shop, you see the fabric, you feel it, you think it's going to be amazing, you start sewing with it and you're just like, oh no, this is not good.
This is going to be fine, but it's not going to drape the way I want it.
It's not going to be quite how I envisaged. You know, you've got a picture in your mind when you often first start and it just kind of does that, goes off on a different track and you're like, okay, well, either this is going to just be different to how I first thought or it's going in the naughty corner. Yeah.
So everyone has finished with a finished thing?
No, not always. Because 3 weeks, 3 hours each session, 3 weeks. Some garments, you know, and we've talked at the beginning, some people are more perfectionist or just work a bit slower and that everyone's different, right? Yeah. So if they want to then book on again to finish making it for a one-off or for another block or then to carry, you know, they might do another block and the first lesson of that block might be finishing off their previous pattern and then we might start another pattern in week 2. So if they want to keep rolling, they absolutely can just keep booking on to beginner blocks. Or if they, you know, they're happy with their 3 weeks and they're not quite finished, I would just help them, give them instructions for the last bit to do at home.
I guess it would be really hard with everyone sewing different things,
different speeds. Some will have to do alterations.
The whole flow thing, right? Because once you're like in that flow state, time doesn't really behave the same.
No, it does go very quickly usually, I have to say. And I think for them more than for me, not that it goes slowly for me, but, you know, I think I can see, like you say, they're in their flow state and, you know, they're in the zone and often it will be like, oh, you know, someone puts a drink of water down and starts sewing and by the end of the 3 hours they haven't touched the water and they're just, you know, head in the project.
For sure. Yeah, like sometimes when, you know, we're writing the blogs, we're thinking about like, how long did it take to complete this? And it's like, I don't know.
Oh, I find that so hard.
I don't know. Like it felt like 2 hours, but I'm sure it was like 10.
And then often as well, it depends how you divide up your sewing, right? I've got a little space that I can go in and out of and close the door. Like if I've got 20 minutes, I'll go in, but I don't necessarily factor that in. You know, do a bit of ironing.
You need like a logbook.
I need a log. But then that would take the fun out. We don't need that.
I wasn't being serious. I am not keeping any logbooks of anything.
No, exactly. It takes as long as it takes.
Yes, it's meant to be. Yeah, you get. What I'm saying is, once you start sewing, I feel like it gets quicker and quicker the time that it takes to get into that flow state. Yeah. And then once you're there, it's like you're not even in reality.
No.
It's like you're in a different space. And I
Kinda
think that's really
disappears, isn't it,
good.
at the time. Yeah, I agree. That's part of the joy of sewing, right?
Yeah. Getting lost in it.
Getting lost.
Yeah, escaping
Mindfulness.
whatever's going on in
Yeah.
the crazy world outside. We could just go inside and make pretty things and wear them.
Yeah. Absolutely. We all need a bit of that in our lives, I think. Yeah.
And how can the listeners find the Sewing Gem classes?
They can head to studio.sewinggem.com.au and they should find all the information there, be able to see when the courses are running and the courses that are available to book onto.
Cool. So if you're interested in sewing lessons, I would highly recommend Gem.
Thanks, Kylie. And look forward to hopefully meeting some of you in sewing lessons. That would be cool.
What makes a leader worth following?
What should you really care about in your job as technology is changing so quickly?
Is it just going to be about machines talking to other machines? I mean, should you quit your job and start something on your own? What would that take?
What does success and risk look like when we're all at the starting gate together?
These are the questions we answer each week on Lead Human with Jack Myers and Tim Spengler.
Join us each week and subscribe at your favorite podcast platform and YouTube.
We'll tell stories, we'll hear from some of the best, and we'll try to figure this out together.
So how about you, Kylie? I know you didn't get around to much sewing because you've been super busy. Do you have anything planned for sewing?
Oh, I have lots of plans.
Okay, what are they?
Well,
What's next? What's top of the list?
Well, this one here that I have in my little packet here, ready to go. I have done one thing. I've folded and I've sewn the pocket.
And you've cut it out.
And I've cut it. Oh, you cut it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I cut things and put it in the bag and then I come back to it later.
Yeah, you're halfway there.
But it's from Helen's Closet. It's a Gilbert top, which is like a button-up
Cute. So
shirt.
I'm just looking at the
with
picture
like
here.
Yeah, it's got like a camp collar and a tie. It's like a cropped feminine button-up shirt that has like a tie at the bottom.
I love it. And what's the colour of the fabric?
It is a dusty, pinky, browny color, but it's a strange color when you look at it by itself. But I've got these pink jeans that I did not make, but I was wearing them when I was buying that fabric, and I sort of, I don't know if you do this, but I hold the fabric up to me to see if it makes my hair and face look a different color. You know how that can happen. So I first I like it when fabric stores have mirrors.
Yes, agreed.
So you hold the fabric up, look in the mirror, make sure it doesn't make your face go yellow or pink or too
whatever,
much. Yeah. But it just so happened that it really went nicely with the pink jeans because it's like a darkish, dusty pink, and then the jeans are like a baby dusty pink. And then I thought that would be a nice outfit to wear together. And now I wish that I had already made it because
Then
I
you
would
could
be
wear
wearing
it.
it right now.
That is your colour, though. I can see just looking in that bag that would really, suit you and you know, make your face light up. It's a good colour. I like that.
Yeah, it's like a monochromatic colour crayon. You know, there was this thing like dressed like a crayon.
Yeah. Do you ever dress like a crayon?
No, but I feel like that's what like my kids always used to do.
Yeah.
You know, like they would be like, "Oh, this shirt matches this shorts," and it's like, "Yeah, but you don't have to wear blue shorts, blue shirt, like you know, like how kids would do."
Yeah.
And that was all happening at the same time that the dress like a crayon was happening. I was like,
Oh, well,
you're
rocking
a crayon.
it. Yeah.
You're a blue crayon today. I could be a pink crayon.
Yes, exactly. Well, we look forward to seeing you as a pink crayon.
Thank you.
Soon.
Yes, I wish I had more to show. Oh, it's just been so busy. I have been doing a lot at home. I'm like renovating some parts of like the house on my own, and I'm just learning some new skills.
What are you doing?
I'm learning how to like make cabinets of things. Like I made the bathroom vanity cabinet, and I'm just like making shelving and stuff.
So now I understand why there's definitely no time for sewing. That's a big job.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that there are so many skills that I have been able to apply to these new skills that I'm acquiring from sewing and craft and just, things that we've been doing in the past. Like I had to put these little, melamine and chipboard, that's like used for things. And then that has like the strip that, covers the front of, shelving or whatever. So that's basically like, it comes in a roll and it's basically like fusible interfacing. Like you just, you literally get it and you iron it on. And then you trim off the excess. And I'm just like, sweet.
Yeah, I can
and
do
it's
this.
like tiling is basically like quilting.
Yeah.
Like it's like okay, look, you're saying that if you cut up fabric into shapes and then sew them back together in shapes and do all that, you can make tiles. Well, I think that tiles is like less. It's like you're just gluing tiles in a shape of a quilt. Like actually sewing a quilt is much more difficult.
Yeah, true.
And I think that if you kind of got that eye for, you know, lining up things and you kind of like can follow instructions and turning nothing into something, I think it's like a lot of the same.
Yeah, true.
You know? Like,
oh, wow.
Woodworking and it's like finishing and like how
Using
things,
your hands.
yeah, and you're trying to like hide seams. You're trying to like hide the joints,
miter corners and things like
and
that.
then mitered. Yeah, it's like mitered. Yeah, well, we already know
what
about
that means.
We know, and then like I'm using a lot of the same rulers from quilting because you know sometimes you need to mark 45 degrees and all this stuff. So it's like I was made for this.
Yeah. Awesome.
I've been training for this.
I can't wait to see the finished product.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, that's what's taken up a lot of my time, my sewing time.
Yeah, of course. Makes sense.
Because that's like, you know, outside of work hours. But then at work, we're super busy. We're dealing with all the calendar stuff.
Yeah.
Because we need to get that, you know, into production. And yeah, so we are gearing up for a really great 2026. We have lots of fun things that are planned in, you know, the second half of the year. But we have to do all the work for it now. And then we've got, you know, the new glue stick, which is a big thing. We've got lots of new products.
I'm holding the new glue stick here.
I don't know if I should say anything because they might not be, I don't know if like we're going to say it online or if we,
let's
but the
wait.
glue stick is not a secret because we've been
sorry.
talking about that a little bit.
Cool.
But there's some other new products that I can't mention.
That's exciting.
Like it might get mentioned
knows?
like a few days before or
Okay.
after the podcast release. So
we
I don't
won't
want to
risk it, yeah.
Yeah. So just stay tuned on KATM socials.
Cool.
But yes, so I have been doing lots of sewing tutorials for sewing in labels and, you know, how to use the different types of labels because we kind of classify them into 3 sections. So we've got the centerfold labels, which are, you know, your standard double thickness labels that go generally in the back neckline that, you know, you could have designs on both sides, but generally that gets sewn into a seam. And then you have the end fold labels, which get sewn onto something.
Yep.
And then we have the straight cut labels, which are kind of like a patch. Also, another little subcategory is the side seam labels that poke out of a side seam, just a little slip, a little slither of it.
And they're often the tiny ones,
yes.
aren't they? They're cute, yeah.
Yeah, so they all have a little bit of technique. I love that people do their own thing and get creative with it, but I do feel like maybe putting out some extra tutorials of how I would do it or here's some tips and tricks just to help people along and maybe get some inspiration for different uses of how you can use them, where you could use them, and maybe some
Absolutely.
things that you haven't thought about.
I mean, I remember in our last episode, you did the window on the robe with the label inside it, and that was so cool. So will there be a tutorial on that? Or?
Yes. So for that one, I made a little pattern for the label stand. Yeah, and then I had like a little rectangle so you could actually print it out and do it like that.
Oh, that's
if
cool.
you wanted to have a practice. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah, and the good thing about like having a label stand, I do that at the very beginning of the garment. Like it's the first thing I sew. And that's almost like my test of like, how's this fabric going to go? Like what threads I'm going to use and all that sort of stuff. And then the other thing is if you mess it up, it's made from like a bit of scrap. So you can just do it again.
I love that because we've talked about this before on the podcast about how, you know, when you sew, you don't ever just go straight into your garment. You don't thread your machine and then just start sewing on it.
Yeah.
You always test stitch. How is it sewing? Is everything good? Do I need to change my needle? Is the tension good? Is this right for the fabric? Are the stitches sitting in it okay? Et cetera, et cetera. And I think the fact that you're actually, you're not just doing that kind of like, you know, straight stitch, back tack, yep, good.
Yeah.
You know, you're actually sewing something. You're
Yeah.
really testing it before you then go into your main body of your garment. I think that's an excellent tip. So
Yeah. And it's like you can get so creative with all the different ways that you could sew on a label and you can get experimental with different stitches that your machine has. Like most of the time we just use that straight stitch and then maybe the zigzag every now and again.
And the odd buttonhole.
You might have 100 or more stitches on there, and one of them might be like perfect for sewing on the edge of a label.
Cute.
And just the amounts of just the different ways, the way you could like make it a little bit more fancy, or the way you can make it sort of more hidden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So lots of ideas. Yeah. So I feel like I've been sewing little different things, but I haven't actually done a thing.
If people want to find the tutorials, where should they? Is it on the website?
Yeah, on our website. And probably YouTube as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And we were going to do a little segment in our Sojo episode on our favourite tools, weren't we? We thought we would.
BYO tool.
Yeah, so we were going to, every time we do a Sojo episode, we were both going to discuss or introduce our favourite sewing tool. So do you want to start, Kylie?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like saying favourite is making too much pressure.
Okay.
But like it's when someone's
Let's
like,
not
what's
say
your
favourite.
favourite movie? And
Because we're going to have a lot of these recommendations
Useful
of things
tool.
that were useful tools. Yeah, okay, let's go. Useful tools.
I just want to spend some time appreciating this tool.
Okay, let's do it.
The roll turner.
Oh, love it.
Or the loop
Loop
turner.
turner.
But I'm specifically talking about the very skinny metal long one that's got the little hook with the little latch on the end. Most of you are probably familiar with it. I know there's other ways of turning loops. I just think that there is no better tool than this. Like, this is just superior. And
I
it's so simple.
completely agree. I always turn things with that if I can. I love it. And I think once you get that initial knack for starting it off, which can often be the fiddly bit, it's just so satisfying just doing the whole, That's me with my hands pretending to turn a very skinny loop the other way because you can't see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're not familiar with it, basically, if you're trying to turn a very small, thin strap for a dress or for a bag, spaghetti strap, something like that, then you can basically hook it from the inside and then pull it to the right side.
Yes.
But starting off can be a bit tricky to begin with, can't it?
I always cut it on an angle. Yeah, so that the part you're trying to hook is like the point.
Yeah.
But not right at the point. It's about getting the hook in and the latch closed on enough of the fabric, but not too much of the fabric, so they can pull it back in. And then you've got to keep the tension on it. You can't go in and out too much, otherwise it might unhook itself.
And also I've found in the past when it's been really fiddly with a pair of tweezers, you know that very beginning bit, if you're struggling to get it going, if you just take a set of tweezers and just pull the outer layer over the top of that first beginning bit.
Yep.
That helps get it going, and then you can kind of do the pull after that.
Yeah, I mean, the tool is only one part. Your hands really are very like they are doing all the work.
They are.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of a knack to it, I would say. I've definitely been in the, the classroom and with other people, I can't use this thing that, so just keep practicing would be my advice, because it is, once you get the knack, it's so handy.
Yeah, and it's very satisfying.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the wedding dresses that have all those like covered buttons and then the loops.
The loops.
They're tiny loops, and there's no way to be able to do it without a tool like this.
No, exactly.
Once you get into a bigger loop, a bigger strap, you can use the other types of turners.
Yeah, but I still tend to use that
do?
unless it's really big and heavy and I can't hook it so easily, like a denim maybe not. But yeah, I would use that, but it's just what I grab for turning.
This is the thing that you can lose easily too, because it doesn't really look like anything.
No, it's quite fine, isn't it?
Yeah. And when you can't find it,
you need a magnet.
Yeah. Well, if you didn't find it, I would do the thing where if I was in the wild and didn't have this thing, I would sew a little extra thread and leave the thread hanging, and then I'd tie that onto a safety pin and pop it through. And it's like a lot more fiddling and that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my appreciation today goes to the roll turner.
Yes, the roll turner or the loop turner also.
I wonder how old this is. I reckon this is an ancient tool that they've been using for a long time.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So my tool, not my favourite tool, but a useful tool, is actually one really more for convenience when you're actually sewing, when you're going to the sewing machine and then you're going to the ironing board or then you're going back to the table. So mine is actually a pin cushion that you can wear around your wrist. The one that I've got here is a bohin wrist pin cushion, like a slap band.
Oh, it is a slap band.
And the good thing about the slap bands is if you've got a slightly bigger wrist or you want to wear it further up because you've got a watch, then you can pretty much wear it anywhere. So some of them are more like a bracelet.
You're
and
wearing
they're more
that
set
more like halfway up your
here
arm,
because of my watch, But what I love about it is the fact that, let's be honest, when you're sewing, you always need pins.
Yes.
And I'm always trying to, grab them. And I love the fact that they're just on my person. I don't have to worry. It's just with me. So that's definitely a very useful sewing tool.
Is it like the first thing you just go and slap on?
No, if I'm only...
I just really wanted to say that.
I tend to wear it when I'm having a really good session.
Okay, and I have to ask, how many times have you stabbed yourself?
Too many to know how many. All the time.
Do you ever have a big session where you're using it and then
you mean
take
when
it
I'm
off?
trying to put it in? Is that what
yeah,
you mean?
yeah.
Not just generally stab myself?
No. When
Okay.
you assume that's going to be on your thing and then you maybe take it off and then you go and do one more thing and then you stab yourself?
I haven't done that
No?
very much.
Oh.
No.
I'm
Fortunately.
scared. I'm looking at that and I'm like, once I get the muscle memory that's where the pins go and I'm stabbing it in there,
just be whacking it into your arm. Please don't do that. No, I've been okay on that count, but I have stabbed myself with pins regularly when I'm sewing.
Yeah,
but.
stay safe out there.
Yeah. Please do. Hey, Sally.
Hey, how are ya?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. What have you got for us?
Next episode is sewing therapy.
Ooh.
The ladies, you guys are making the rectangle top.
Nice.
It is very exciting. So jump on to Sewing Therapy's website and you can get 10% off this rectangle top pattern, which is awesome.
Yay.
And that's valid to the end of the year.
Yeah, cool.
Thank
and,
you.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, so the website is 209fabrics.ca. Spelt 2, TWOO9, fabric, no S.ca.
Oh, brill.
Nailed
And
it.
just use the usual Sewing Club podcast discount code to access that discount off the rectangle top pattern.
Woohoo.
Awesome.
Lots of options.
Yeah, exciting. So thanks so much for listening, everyone. We would love it if you could join our Facebook group, the Sewing Club Podcast Community, where we can share our makes and tips and tricks along the way.
And we have an Instagram as well, which is sewingclub.podcast. We have feedback forms attached to that. You can see our garments in the wild. We post videos there and we love hearing all the feedback, so keep it coming.
We'd love it if you could subscribe, rate, review the podcast. All of that helps to get this podcast to as many people as possible.
Till next time.
Till next time.